Hockey's back, baby! Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Bay Bulls channel we are returning for the first official regular season episode of Quick Strike. As always, my name is Jake Ricker alongside my good friend and co-host Michael Wax. Michael, the Tampa Bay Lightning have defeated the Chicago Blackhawks by a score of 5-1 on opening night where they raised the Stanley Cup championship banner. How are we doing?
Doing well. You mentioned something that is kind of weird, which is this is our first regular season quick strike. I forgot we started this in the playoffs, but the Lightning get off to a phenomenal start, and we'll get into some mostly positives and maybe a couple of negatives about this game. But overall, that pregame ceremony was a touch late. I'm going to blame that on NBC a little bit, but I thought it was a really, really touching, tribute to the way that the Lightning have responded and the struggles that they went through throughout the bubble. And the banner itself looks great, and we got a preview of that around the city today. So very happy to see that. The looks on the players' faces for the most part was, let's go get another one. We're not satisfied with just one. So, and that was great to see, and they proved that in this game.
Yeah, let's get another one and we can raise it with all our fans. By the way, I thought this ceremony was awesome. I thought they did a very good job. I like the angle they took with is they're going to reveal it, but they're not completely raising it. They're going to wait for fans to be able to come back in the arena. I don't know if they'll do that when even there's just a limited capacity bag or if they'll wait for a full capacity. I'm not quite sure, but I thought they did a very good job with the ceremony. Michael, real quick before we get into the game, I do want to talk about we've been talking about ads in the NHL. We know there's going to be some ads on helmets for some teams, and the division names have changed up for an advertisement deal because the NHL was losing a lot of money, obviously, through the pandemic. We saw in the game tonight, the Lightning had ads on seat covers around the seats, which, I thought looked okay and was expected. They also had a ton of, actually one ad. It was an Adidas ad all around the boards, which I thought looked a little weird because there were so many of them crammed on there all the way around. But we've seen more advertisements pop up for the NHL trying to recoup some of the money they've lost this year.
Yeah, and normally when we see the advertisements on the boards, they're usually behind the goal. There are some younger fans that are like when they're watching it on TV, is that obstructing the the fans that sit there? No, it's just, an overlay of an advertisement gets the NHL some more money. Well, with no fans in the arena, you have to make even more money. So what they're doing right now, at least with Adidas, because those are the ones that are really on the boards, they are making sure that that it's Adidas advertising by putting it on every little square inch of the boards, at least the bottom of the boards. To be honest, I did not think it looked great, but I did get used to it after a while. I think that is the main goal for the NHL, just like with all their other advertisements, is that we're going to end up getting used to them. So if this is a temporary thing, I'm cool with it because again, there are no fans in the arenas. There are no opportunities to, get people to buy stuff in the arenas as well. You're losing out on merchandise sales, at least in the arena. I can totally see why they're doing this. This becomes permanent. I don't really see how I'm going to be in favor of it over and over and over again.
Absolutely. I think you said that perfectly. And not to mention too, the Lightning did have another special uh, board as well, or board might not be the right word, but if you guys remember, the Lightning did a thing with their fans. When everybody went to the arena, they had their fans sign a piece of the glass and they brought it with them to the bubble, up in Toronto. And they had that in Amalie back in tonight behind our bench, which I thought again was a really cool tribute as well. But let's talk about the game at hand. Michael, what do you think was a big positive for the Bolts today, and what did you like in this game?
Well, I mean, where to start? Like, this game was great, if I'm being quite honest with you. But if I had to start with the main guy, let's start with the main guy. It's Steven Stamkos. He was flying out there. There was a little bit of criticism from us that he was kind of invisible on Monday during the scrimmage. We didn't really notice him. We didn't really see him. And all of a sudden he comes out and scores 3 points. He looks phenomenal next to Braden Point and Andre Palat. He was one timer, still absolutely lethal on the power play. Definitely makes up for Kucherov on the power play. He was instrumental in that first goal as well, where that passing sequence got the puck onto Hedman's stick and then got it onto Palat's stick off the rebound for that goal. He was probably the Lightning's best player. I'm not going to say he was the most surprising player because there were a couple other people that I thought were tremendous as well, where I didn't really expect it. But definitely Steven Stamkos was our best player tonight.
No question about it. He looked fantastic out there, and he is definitely 100% ready to go. And he wants to get back in the playoffs so he can make a huge impact, unlike he was able to do in the season, even though he was able to make an impact even while he was off the ice. Another person I think deserves a big shout out, Michael, is Matthew Joseph. He looked fantastic in the scrimmage game, and he looked fantastic again here tonight. Had a goal tonight himself, but he's out to prove that he should stay in this lineup. And right now, I think he absolutely should.
Absolutely. During the playoffs, you and I heavily criticized that second line of Tyler Johnson, Anthony Cirelli, and Alex Killorn. They were a minus 20 overall in the playoffs, which is just absolutely putrid. And the sort of abridged lineup of Alex Killorn, Anthony Cirelli, Matthew Joseph shows up, and they're utterly phenomenal. They were a +6 tonight. Matthew Joseph was flying all over the ice. Alex Killorn probably should have had a goal. A fantastic save by Malcolm Subban with his stick. That was one of the best saves, if not the best save of the night. Not even talking about the game. It was really, really nice save. Subban is a good goalie, as his ups and his downs. That was for sure an up for him. Sorelli looked great on the forecheck. He looked good in the faceoff dot. Overall, a good game for him. But you're right, Matthew Joseph was the guy that I think really turned that lineup or that line upside down and really brought them from minus category to the plus category, brought them to kind of sluggish play in the playoffs to a rejuvenated play in the regular season opener. I'm not sure what's going to happen with Joseph when Tyler Johnson comes back, though. Like you said, he's playing like a man that wants his spot in the lineup. When Johnson comes back, do you keep him on that second line or do you shovel him down, take Alex Volkov out of the lineup, and put Joseph right next to Mitchell Stevens and Pat Maroon? I think that's something that we're going to have to watch out for on Friday.
It's going to be interesting to see how Cooper handles the situation, but a good problem to have if you're the Lightning with so much good depth. I don't want to sit on all the good things, even though there was so many good things in this game for too long. But Andre Vasilevsky was also fantastic tonight. Nearly had the shutout, but a very unfortunate, unlucky bounce at the end of that game there when that puck ends up bouncing inside the net. But he looked really good tonight. Andre Palat, he's been so good for us for so many years. Such an underrated player, in my opinion. Scored the first goal of the season for the start in this game. So both those guys, shout out to them. They played really well.
Yeah, I mean, we could go up and down the lineup. I thought so many players played well. Like, you look at it, there was probably only one guy that really struggled in my mind, and it was Victor Hedman. And not because Victor Hedman played bad necessarily, but that he wasn't the Victor Hedman that we know and love. And I know that's going to cause a lot of criticism, but there were a few plays where I was like, Victor, you should have taken option C instead of option B or option A. I think that is something that's going to come naturally to him in the next couple of games. Someone that I thought was pretty good, not mind blowing in his first NHL game, but pretty serviceable on that top four with both Mikhail Sergachev and Ryan McDonough. He played with both of them. Was Cal Foot? I thought Cal Foot was great. He made a couple of really nice defensive plays, had a couple of shots that either got blocked or were saved by Malcolm Subban. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Cal Foot's going to do coming more so into the season as we are.
And in regards to Victor Hedman, that's how you know you're that good is even when you just have an average game. It's almost considered a bad game because we hold him to such a high standard. But Michael, I know you mentioned a couple of your maybe negatives things because remember there's always negatives in games like this, despite the Lightning playing so well. they play really good on the power play, play really good on the penalty kill. It was actually pretty hard to pick out some negatives for this game. But one thing I did notice, and I think this was expected, but it seemed to me that at least the first half of that first period, until the Lightning started scoring some goals, they did look a little slow and a little, trying to get their feet underneath them. Which, when you don't have a preseason and a shortened training camp, you're going to see that. But the good news was the Lightning did pick things up very quickly.
Yeah, they were pretty good, after that slow start. But like you mentioned, they did start slow, and that was to be expected. I don't think it was as noticeable as Chicago was also coming off of a slow start. I think a lot of teams are going to come off of slow starts where not necessarily one team is coming off over the other, but the games are going to start out really, really sluggish. They'll pick up in intensity very quickly. We saw today Montreal and Toronto started off very poorly, both teams. They ended that game in overtime 5-4. And that's not saying that the goalies were necessarily great in that game, but the players definitely picked up their skates and were definitely really, really good after that first period. Overall, again, I can't say that this was a bad game. Teams are going to have slow starts. Teams are going to have bad endings to games. I think that the Lightning had a bad start, and I think that the Lightning had a kind of bad ending, but that's because also they were on autopilot after going up 5-0, which I don't blame them for. That is something that, you shouldn't go into cruise control all the time. But if it's opening night and you're trying to rest your players a little bit, I totally understand it. So I am very much looking forward to what they're going to do on Friday, how the lineup's going to shake out. Are we going to see Luke Shen back in the lineup? How are we going to see Tyler Johnson back in the lineup? Because, Coach Cooper loves his Syracuse Crunch, Norfolk Admiral guys. I'm very curious to see how it's going to play out.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on that one. And as you mentioned, the Lightning's next game will be against the Chicago Blackhawks on Friday, January 15th. And then the Lightning will actually be off for a couple of days because of the COVID situation with Dallas. Still unsure on how things are going to work out with that January 19th game the Lightning are supposed to play against Dallas. As of right now, it is still scheduled and good to go. But we will obviously update you if anything comes to that. Michael, anything else to add about this game before we wrap things up?
No, again, I thought it was a really good game from top to bottom. I'm a little upset that Zavasi wasn't able to get that shutout. It was one of the weirdest goals I think I've ever seen. Only topped by maybe the opening day goal against the Red Wings a couple of years ago, where someone took a shot from halfway around the ice. It hit the stanchion, hit Bishop in the leg, and then went in the net. It's probably the only other goal that is probably weirder than that one. But I am definitely happy with how this game started, how it the season has started, and I'm definitely looking forward. I know I keep on saying it, but I'm looking forward to what they're going to do next because you start on a high note. Hopefully, they keep on that same momentum path and don't falter a little bit.
So that's going to do it for us, guys, today in this episode. Please be sure to leave a like on the video down below if you did enjoy this new format that we're continuing to try out for this season. Also, let me know in the comments down below who you thought was the best player tonight in the 5-1 victory over the Chicago Blackhawks. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and ring that bell for notifications so you don't miss out on more recaps like this one. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And remember, your Tampa Bay Lightning are your defending Stanley Cup champions.